I liked the Back for Blood early access beta a lot. So much that when it went offline from the 9th to the 11th, I was still itching to kill zombies with 3 of my friends. To scratch that itch, we decided to return to good old Left 4 Dead 2. But, now that we had the adrenaline of the new and challenging Back for Blood injected into our veins, we decided we wouldn't settle for anything less than expert realism. Fast forward a couple days, and the Back for Blood beta returns. We loaded our weapons, gathered our Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and embarked on our first Nightmare run. Having played the 2 games back to back, I couldn't help but wonder, which was harder? How were they different? Was one more fair than the other? Those are the questions I'll be answering in today's video, so let's get right into it. Like they always say, age before beauty. Left 4 Dead 2 gets to go first. Typically in the past, my friends and I would play on Advanced. It was a good balance of challenge while allowing us to casually talk about other things while we played. Expert was a step up in difficulty for sure. The first thing that I needed to adjust to were the common infected. Unlike in Advanced, the common infected were actually a big threat to our health. We had to make sure we were constantly moving as a group and covering our backs. A few slaps to our rears from a stray zombie meant we would go down quick. But I think easily the biggest thing we had to adjust to in Expert Realism was the friendly fire. On Advanced, it's a simple slap on the wrist, but on Expert, if you walk into someone's line of fire, that's half your health gone, or worse if you manage to catch a full blast from a combat shotgun. The friendly fire forced us to become much more wary of the angles that people were covering. Hallways meant those in front were forced to crouch. With you being so wary of where your weapon was pointing at all times, the game forced you to rely on your teammates to cover their own lanes of fire. At first, this was a nightmare. We were losing health like crazy when we really didn't need to, and many times we failed because of the extra damage we took on. But as we played, the team slowly developed a synergy. In time, I could tell who was covering what angle, which weapons they preferred, and which sides of them I in turn needed to cover. It was like a trust-building exercise that we needed to have mastered by the end of the campaign, and by the end of the campaign I certainly did trust everyone to watch my back. The rest wasn't much of a bother. The witch killing you instantly sucks, and the tank being a one-hit down can force a restart in just a few seconds. But apart from that, I don't think we had to adjust to much else. I felt that realism mode hardly came into play. Maybe we missed some items here and there, and no survivor closets meant losing someone in a run was almost a guaranteed wipe. But apart from that, I really didn't notice a difference between that and the regular mode. Overall, it was a good experience. No cards means that you have to rely on your fundamentals and teamwork. Unique special infected that can only spawn one at a time means that you have to deal with threats as they come. Then you can move on. Watch your friends back, and watch where you point your gun, and you can prevail. I'm not sure I can say that about Back 4 Blood.
Get in! Get in! Get in! Hurry!
Alright, now let's dive into the new kid on the block. Now, as I start this section, I should make clear that I am going to be speaking on the beta that was live from August 12th to August 16th. Things could very possibly change when the game is released, and to be completely honest, I hope they do. So in the Left 4 Dead section, I was able to pinpoint very quickly what I thought were the major difficulty spikes when switching from Advanced to Expert. I cannot do that with Back 4 Blood. Everything is harder. The first mechanic that caught me off guard was that everyone can only get down once. That is punishing. Very, very punishing. Especially when you need everyone alive to even hope to get to the safe room. This made cards like Second Chance and the Defibrillator invaluable. Where we would not always consider it on Veteran, we always made sure to have one on Nightmare. The increase in damage from the common infected didn't seem to be too high. You definitely didn't want to get hit by them, but they didn't take 20 health away with every swipe like in Left 4 Dead. Where I did see the biggest damage increase was from the special infected, particularly the Bruiser. That thing was able to one-shot us when our health was full.
Again! We just revived them!
The corruption cards we got also seemed more brutal than the ones we got on Veteran. Not sure if this was just bad RNG, but it just seemed a little much for a group that only had 2 cards from their deck to their name. All this, combined with Back 4 Blood's already unforgiving mechanics like trauma, made this mode a true nightmare for me and my friends. By the end of the night, we were only able to complete the first level, and after that we couldn't make it past the Ogre. To say there was a difficulty spike would be putting it lightly. To me, it felt like there was a difficulty setting missing between Veteran and Nightmare. So now to answer the question, which is harder? I think it goes without saying that Back 4 Blood is the harder game by far. In Left 4 Dead 2, the game asks you to sharpen up your skills. In Back 4 Blood, the game becomes relentless. Many times it felt like rather than a challenge to overcome, the game's director was just flipping us the bird and telling us we suck. I think the biggest offender for me is how the game chooses to spawn enemies. One of my favorite parts of Back 4 Blood for me is the exploration. I think the game does an incredible job encouraging you to explore every nook and cranny of the map for loot. But on Nightmare, the special infected never seem to stop coming. If you loiter around an area for a few seconds too long, you could find yourself being overwhelmed by a random horde with 3 to 4 special infected on top of that. This trained us to make a mad dash to the safe room once we got close enough, forsaking our friends' lives and potential loot for just a single chance to try to move on. Personally, I think the special infected need to be rebalanced. In Left 4 Dead, the specials add suspense to the game. You know one's around and you know you have to take care of it. In Back 4 Blood, there's so many of them to take care of, it just becomes draining. When the 4th bruiser is coming at me in the span of a minute, that sense of suspense is lost. It just becomes something annoying you have to deal with. Not to mention some of them have some janky spawn locations.
Oh,
What?
help.
Whoa! Oh,
They put a wall vagina right there to the right? Are you kidding me?
When I came up with the idea for this video, I thought that Left 4 Dead would be the harder game because of the card system of buffs that Back 4 Blood gives you. Nightmare mode seems to be balanced for a squad of survivors with a strong deck of cards. The problem is that you don't start with these cards. You start with 2, but the game doesn't seem to scale with that. It feels like the gauntlet is being thrown at you right away. My experience could obviously have been skewed by RNG, but in my opinion, the game should still feel doable even when you're dealt a bad hand. Because of all this, I'd have to say that Left 4 Dead's expert realism is easier, but also just a bit of a better experience right now. But that's not to say that Back 4 Blood can't get better in its final release. I just think that they need to rebalance the special infected so that they don't spawn as much, or are as tanky, and give us a proper difficulty curve for survivors starting with only 2 cards, and then ramp it up as the campaign goes on. Hopefully we see some changes in the final product. If not, I'm happy to play the game on Veteran and leave Nightmare up to the speedrunners and pros. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment below with your thoughts on Back 4 Blood. If you liked the video, consider subscribing, and if you'd want to be a part of my community, follow me on Twitch and join my Discord. We have community game nights regularly, and I stream quite often. Thank you all for watching. This has been Nico V, and I'll see you all next time.
Close
Close the door! Close the door!
Oh,
Why
close
is
the door,
it?
close
Why
the
is
door,
it closing?
Nico.
It's not closing! I'm pressing it!
That's what I hear.
Oh god, they're in with
the
us!
chest.
Shoot him! Oh my god, dude! That's so fucked up!